Hello, BookTube, and this is part 13 of my ongoing science fiction videos. And for lack of not having anything specific to talk about or topic-wise, I thought I'd just do a reminder of a couple read-alongs and things that are happening near the end of the year here that'll be starting in November. There is New Worlds November, and it'd be reading short science fiction, short stories, or novels or novelettes, novellas under 250 pages. And they're themed every week. This is headed up by the Bookish Bryants, and there will be a number of booktubes. There's been no official announcements yet, but I just thought I'd just come back on and just remind everybody about this, as well as one that I'm doing in December. But we'll start with New Worlds November because that's happening in November, and November is creeping up ever quickly. I'm just surprised how this year has went, depending on because of how bad it's been for me. I just need to refresh my memory here. Week 1 we'll be doing aliens, will be the theme. Week 2 is artificial intelligence and or robots. Week 3 is time travel, and week 4 is post-apocalyptic or dystopian fiction. Now, I know what I'm going to. I haven't chosen everything yet. I was going to choose one author all the way through, but I thought I'd mix it up a little bit. I've got a lot to choose here. I need to find, but I do know for the robot one, I know which one I'm going to do. Aliens, not quite sure yet, but I'm narrowing it down. The time travel. I've got. I don't know if anybody's familiar with these, or you should be, because there's probably dozens and dozens of these. The Mammoth Book of, and this is the Mammoth Book of Time Travel SF, edited by Mike Ashley. This is the UK edition. It is published by Running Press. Robson Books, and this was originally put out in 2017. First published in the UK by Robinson, an imprint of Constable and Robinson Limited, 2013 actually originally, and then reprinted in 2017 in this edition. Now it's got let's see here, it is almost 550 pages long. It's got quite a few stories here. Let's just briefly go through. There's an introduction, always a good introduction by Mike Ashley in these, just sort of talking about the theme of whatever the book is, and then we've got Gregory Benford's Caveat Time Traveler, Liz Williams' Century to Starboard, Sean McMullen Walk to the Full Moon, David J. Lake, The Truth About Weena, Steve Utley, The Wind Over the World, Sheila Crosby, Scream Quietly, Elizabeth Marlatry, Darwin's Suitcase, Fritz Lieber, Try and Change the Past, Robert Silberg, Needle in a Haystack, Simon Clark, Dear Tomorrow, Ellen Klages, Time Gypsies, Clegg Baker, The Catch, Lawrence Watt Evans, Real Time, and it goes on. There's Michael Swanwick. I won't read out everyone. There's John Varley, Christopher Priest, Christine, Catherine Roosh, and there's many authors that I don't know. That's why I decided to get this, to expand a little bit, because my reading of science fiction's, barring a few authors and a few things, sort of ended sometime in the 80s, let's say early 90s, and very little that I've read that's been published since say 1990. So these are going to be, there's some old classics in here that I'm aware of, but there'll be a lot of other stuff. So if anybody is interested in a time travel collection, this is a good place to start. And then there is Apocalyptic SF. It's also the Mammoth Book of, also edited by Mike Ashley. And again, it's Robson Books. Running press, originally done 2010. This is a 2016 reprint. It's a little worse for wear. And again, there is a introduction by Mike Ashley, and then there's 3 sections here. The nature of the catastrophe, and it's got stories by Robert Silverberg, Dominic Green, Kate Wilhelm, Dale Bailey, Cory Doctorow, Linda Nagata, David Bartlett, Frederick Pohl, Alistair Reynolds, Jeffrey A. Landis. And then second section is Beyond Armageddon, William Barton, Cage Barker, who was in the earlier one, Elizabeth Bear, Damon Broderick, James Triptree Jr., The Man Who Walked Home, fabulous story, Fritz Leiber, Pail of Air, Jack Williamson, Terraforming Terra, and there's other ones in here too. I'm just sort of highlighting a couple. The End of All Things is the third section with only 3 stories in. Gwynplaine McIntyre, World Without End. The Children of Time, Stephen Baxter, and The State Called Wormwood, Elizabeth Cunningham. I've never heard of some of these authors as well, so it'll be something new for me. But it'll be a good one, and I've got like a couple hundred magazines to sort of, from the 50s, 60s to go through, and a bunch of other collections that'll be worthwhile. Just as I'm at it here, there's a third Mammoth book that I've got here, and the reason why I bought this a while ago was, it's called Extreme Science Fiction New Generation Far Future SF, and it's mind-blowing stories of hard fiction, and then they list, and it's edited by Mike Ashley again. It's been criticized quite a bit, saying that it's not really extreme science fiction, but you've got 550 pages, you can only put so much in. First published in 2006 by the looks of it, and this is 2006, later printing, obviously. And the reason why I got this is it says extreme science fiction means what it says. SF is at its best when it's pushing the boundaries beyond what we would normally think or even dream, and taking us into worlds we might never imagine. Here's 20 of today's greatest science fiction creators take us on journeys of vast imaginings, from the simplest of beginnings to the most complex of finalities. Now, it's saying today's science fiction writers. Well, by this time, at least one. The reason why I bought this, the one writer was dead for 18 years approximately, and that was Clifford Simak. It's got the creator in here, Clifford D. Simak, that was published in 1935. I have the original magazine, Marvel Tales. I think it's March 1935, but I can't lay my hands on it very easily at the moment. But I don't want to sort of fiddle with that. It's a little too fragile. It's very fragile. So I got this cheaply for that. But it looks like there's some other interesting things in here, and this could have to do with the aliens. This might have to do with aliens in there. So yeah, so there's 3 possibilities for stories for the New Worlds November. So we've got time travel SF and apocalyptic SF, and then extreme science fiction. Now the other one is my reading project. It's Isaac Asimov, his Future History, which will start in December and will run for well into 2022. We are reading all of the canon of Isaac Asimov, his Future History books, the robot stories, the Empire 3 novels, trilogy, and then going into the Foundation and other ones that he pulled in to the story. So, and there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of reading, but there's also as much, if not a little more, written by other writers that fit into the robot stories. A lot of it robot, and then some with the Foundation and Empire sort of era. So we will read these chronologically, more or less, internal story wise, and we'll start in December. If anybody wants the reading list that I have created, feel free to email me. I'll leave my email in the description below, and you can join in and read what you want. And there's about 5 of us so far. I think 4 or 5 booktubers that will be hosting, including myself, and we will go through every story, every short story. We'll start with short stories, the robot short stories, in December, and then move into novels, and then the rest of the short stories in January. There's no set reading schedule at the moment. That will come before that happens, and there will be another official announcement for this by all of us, probably somewhere in late October or beginning of November. And yeah, so feel free if you want to join in, but keep an eye out for these New Worlds November in November, and the Future History Project starting December 1st. So that'll end episode 13, an unlucky number, so maybe that's why it was good that I didn't do anything specific topic wise. And I'll be back next week with something hopefully a little more with a little more meat. Take care, BookTube.